What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Wolfcrier here, and welcome to another AARPG Vodcast. Tonight I am joined by my good buddy Aetrik and newcomer to the Vodcast, Taekyn, which I forgot to put the names up underneath us. Interesting development there. But anyways, tonight we're going to be talking about the Path of Exile Ultimatum League. We're going to be talking about launch, which was very fun. And we're going to be talking about how our builds and league is going, how we're liking the new ultimatum mechanic and everything that's been changed with the Atlas and all of that. And let's dive right into it. Launch night. Launch night. Launch night. Let's just say it was a fustercluck. Yeah, I started playing at 2 p.m. Sorry, at 4 p.m. Eastern, which was launch time. 4 p.m. I started playing. At 6 o'clock, I took a 2.5-hour break for dinner and hanging out with my family before returning downstairs at 6:30 to play some more. I went to bed at 3. It gave me about 8 hours of playing Path of Exile. When I hit /play, the /played in game, I had 4 hours of game time. Half of the time I spent playing was spent reconnecting or flat out disconnected completely. It was fun. Aetrik, you were pretty much right there with me at least until, 10:30, 11 at night?
Yeah, it was still pretty fun. I stayed on until about 12:30. And then I just the fun had faded. But yeah, sitting there every time we went down, it's like, okay, it'll be a few more minutes before we manage to get back in. So let's go see what Reddit's saying. Just to
Yeah, it
read
was.
the trolls and the just insane comments, or flip over to like Quinn or Zizaret or someone else, see what kind of shit was going on in their chat. It was pretty hilarious.
It was fun watching all the streamers. It definitely was. I was tabbing through Quinn, Ziz, Mathel, a few other smaller streamers just to see how they were flipping out. And yeah, people were left and right getting pissed.
Yeah.
You had disconnects everywhere. It got to the point where there sometimes in the span of like 20 minutes, you were disconnected more than you were playing, but the disconnects were only lasting like 3 to 5 minutes. So it was just a whole bunch of logging in. Oh, I'm in. Oh, I'm in. And then all of a sudden somebody goes up. Quinn just DC'd, which meant that everybody was going to disconnect and the server was going to start booting us all out one by one. And it was pretty crazy. Zoning to another zone and it never loading. The resetting, having to go back and do the same quest 3 times was pretty epic.
Yeah, that's basically where I ended, was when I finally killed Malachi in at the end of Act 4, because the first time I got him to the second phase and then DC'd
I
and
sold
came back
something.
and had to go back and kill all 3 of the mini bosses and face 1 again. I was like, okay, this is it for me tonight. I can't do this.
I
Um,
sold a jewel when I was in Act 6 or so. I sold a jewel for 5 chaos, and I was all like wicked happy that I was, I sold something this early for 5 chaos, and, it's just a blue jewel. And then I got disconnected right after the trade and then come back and I don't have the 5 chaos. But I do have the jewel, but the guy never DM'd me back, so I eventually sold the jewel, but it was like the next day. It was crazy. That dude must have wanted that jewel and then he didn't have it and probably didn't see who had it before because it probably on the website said that it was sold. Taken, did you partake in any of opening day at all?
No, I did not play an amusement park line simulator.
you missed out, buddy. Like even if nothing else, I will say opening night being the way it did made everybody who was playing learn how to race, because at, after a few hours you didn't care about anything other than getting to the next waypoint before it DC'd.
So
Yep.
the next
Yep.
waypoint or the boss fight, I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, so like everybody who played through that, like, oh, what it ended up being like 13 and a half hours or something, didn't it?
It was closer to 16 hours
Yeah.
of it before they fixed it. Because I think they fixed it about 2 hours after. No, about, yeah, you're right. About 13 hours of that. Because they had fixed it early in the morning.
Yeah,
And it
so
was,
everybody playing got a real good crash course, and this is how you race.
Did you ever see the article they put up on what they had done or why?
No, we enjoyed watching the updates, the edits, especially when it got to
the
the
Chris
whole,
Wilson
yeah, the Chris
picture.
Wilson picture. That was just amazing. Uh and at one point, like the DCs were so bad, like I kept bouncing to several different streamers and watching the insanity in chats of the big streamers, and then bouncing to some of the smaller ones, and you could. It made me glad I wasn't streaming, because a lot of smaller streamers, it kind of looked like their soul was crushed on a lot of them, because they just wanted to play the game and show it off. They didn't have as big of a chat to interact with during all that downtime. So you
Ooh,
could
yeah.
tell a lot of smaller streamers were really getting frustrated and ill with it. But I know at one point I quit going to Quinn and Zizaran's stream during the downtime, and I would flip as soon as I DC'd over to like Ken's stream and just say DC incoming, because I realized that I was DCing before him by a minute or two. So I just jumped into his chat, say DC incoming, hope you're ready, every time.
I was gonna stream that night. I had situated myself where I could, and it was gonna be one of those stream nights, but I couldn't see myself trying to get through that. I don't know. I gotta give props to people like Quinn, Badger, Zizaran, and all those people that stuck with it for so unbelievably long. I mean, Quinn had a little bit easier because he got to go to bed during his stream because he's doing that subathon thing, but the rest of them, some people were doing 24-hour streams, and it was like literally 15 hours of disconnects. Like, I don't know how you kept the morale to keep doing that. Because at least we had Discord and we had, we were just laughing about it and joking about it. But even some of the people in our Discord were like, yeah, fuck this. I'm out. I'm not doing this for another 6 hours. And I stuck with it for as long as I could, but it was weird. I was making good time for me personally. I would have finished the axe in probably 7.5 hours, which for me is really good time. I'm not a racer when it comes to Path of Exile. Usually opening day of POE, I take 2 days to get to maps, and that's usually just how much time I have and stuff like that. But I was making excellent time this time. But yeah, I think it was because of, like Aetrik said, it was teaching us how to go. All right, we got to get to that next waypoint before the next disconnect, and we got to be there long enough so that it doesn't roll us back.
Yeah, and
Temporary
So
boom.
it
we
was
were
just a
rushing so
race.
bad that, like, I just quit picking up anything unless it like may have been something that I absolutely needed. Uh and I was doing that to the point I quit even interacting with Ultimatum very quickly. Because it took too much time, and with the disconnects happening so frequently.
You
But
didn't even have your loot filter set up that first night
yeah, I
either,
didn't
because
even
you
have the
guys
loot
left us on the
filter
second
set
night.
up until,
Ooh.
yeah, until the third incursion that I ran is where I found out that I didn't have the loot filter was wrong, because I got through the first two and did not get an audio notification for a stone of passage to drop. when I cleared the entire thing. I was like, what's going on? And I didn't see one either. So the third incursion I went into still didn't hear it, but I was walking around and saw what looked like a scroll of wisdom laying on the ground and read it, and it said Stone of Passage. I was like, what is wrong with my loot filter? So, like, there's so much gear that I may have missed in the process of just running because I didn't care about anything but getting to the next waypoint. I was in Act 10 still using a wand that I got at the end of Act 1 and a wand that I got early in Act 2. Still running those weapons in Act 10. Luckily it was working, so I was just looking at it like, as long as I'm killing stuff and not dying, I'm good. Gear doesn't matter.
Even the second night, we were getting that. There was a couple waves in the evening where it just kept discoing us.
Yeah, there were, but all in
Yeah.
all, I actually enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I
I
know
had,
it was rough, but still, it's a free-to-play game, so I don't really expect that everything is awesome all the time.
you know what? Like everybody bitching like all over the place with it. Like I get it. It was frustrating. It was infuriating, but nobody owes you shit. Nobody owes you like somebody I had read on Twitter. Oh, usually game companies compensate when something like this.
Yeah.
A, name one, because no, they don't. And B, it's free to play game. You know, shit happens. I'm pretty sure you've fucked up a couple burgers at your job. So get over it.
Well, it's like Taken was saying in Discord earlier. Technically, they have compensated us. They've given us the game at half price for the next month.
Yep, very true. Yep.
And all your friends can have it for free too.
Yeah. So just start they've given you the ability to gift it to any friend you want for free.
It just it boggles my mind, that whole mentality, you know, that everybody likes to run their mouth about stuff like that. And you know, shit happens, and it happens a lot more often when there's a lot more people involved. I mean, this had to be a pretty decent sized launch, in my opinion, for Path of Exile.
Yeah,
Probably.
wasn't it like 4.5 billion
Oh
or
yeah,
something?
yeah. There were 4.5 billion people according to the login screen every now and then. I'm
Oh,
doubting
because
half
of the queues.
the
Queues were
queue.
so broken, it was giving out stupid
Yeah, the queue gave me
multi-billion
a
numbers.
4.5 billion people ahead of me, and I'm like,
Yeah,
well, that ain't
I,
ever happening.
I saw there's an article someone put up that basically, as part of the prep, they're supposed to like roll some old data off, and they had forgot to revert it, and
Yeah,
that was what was causing the issue. Was they were trying to do that while launch the season or something to clear up the servers because it
yeah,
would mess with it if it stayed there. So it was just ugh.
yeah. But there were tons of things wrong. There was a duping problem with the fact that the guild stash, you could put something in the guild stash and then take it out, disconnect, and then it would still be in the guild stash, but you'd also have it in your inventory. So there was some duping going on, some shady stuff, that type of stuff during it. It's something that they are aware of, and yeah, it must have been a big chunk of problems on that front. But I mean, it is what it is. Stuff like that happens. If you look at, you know, game companies, they fuck up all the time, and sometimes it's just whoops, and you just move on. You don't have to be, you know, oh, Path of Exile owes me this day off that I took so that I could play a video game. That's on you. That's on you. You
No,
know,
if you
Yeah.
go
you
to
didn't.
Disney and it rains, they don't give you your ticket back, or they're
Yeah,
like, "Here, come
And,
back tomorrow."
and then, I mean, I can understand people like being frustrated with it and a little bit upset, but like it's really simple to just, okay, not going to play this today, not going to deal with it. If it's really bothering you that much, even if you can't afford another game to just mess around with for 24 hours, Warframe's not a bad free to play. Dauntless isn't a bad free to play. I mean, there are other free-to-play games that you could jump in just for a day as something to take your mind off of it, or find the fun things in it like we did. I
Yeah,
mean, even
exactly.
though it was a trash launch, we had a ball playing it, didn't we, Wolf? Like,
I did. I had fun opening night. It
yeah,
was a blast of just laughing at all the streamers and laughing at all the, stupid stuff that was going on, laughing at myself trying to log in for the 375th time by 2 a.m. You know what I
I
mean? It
actually
was,
think I spent more time on launch night playing this league than I have in the past.
yeah,
Because normally I'm ahead of most of the people in the guild in the campaign, and I get tired. I'm like, okay, I've done enough. I'm out. But this time it was like, no, I'm going to at least get to here. It's just kept going.
yeah,
So I mean, it actually built up a little extra uh, reward for accomplishing something. Because it's like it's been 5 DCs. I finally got through this zone.
yeah. I had a blast opening night, and it is what it is. Shit happens, and you get over it. You either get over it or you don't. But either way, I mean, it happened, and they'll learn from it. Most most of the time, they learn from this type of stuff. I think that overall, I'm having fun this league. I wasn't sure if I was going to. I was a little concerned that it was just going to be Ritual 2.0, but it's actually pretty fun, and having ritual in the game and a little bit more rewarding, I think, this time around, which I think is good because it happens less. Um, I like Ultimatum, but I'm also liking, figuring out my build. I've never done Burning Arrow. I've never done a brand build, and I leveled with Armageddon brand and started off my mapping to tier 7, tier 8 with Armageddon brand. Uh, Switched over to Burning Arrow when I got my bow, my Zoff's bow. It's not 6 linked yet, but it is 5 linked. And I'm having fun with it, but yeah, I'm getting wrecked here and there, and I'm definitely not capable of going much higher than tier 11 until I start getting some of the other gear. Um, but Burning Arrow so far is fun, and Armageddon brand was definitely something I will level with again. And yeah, I'm hoping to have my build set up within the next like 2 or 3 days and be able to plow through the rest of the content and get to red maps, stuff like that. What build are you playing, Taken?
I started off with Ellie Hit, got to maps, realized starter build was going to take me, as slow as I am, another week or two to get rolling in maps, and I'm currently back up to Act 7, I think, going to the Blade Blast Inquisitor.
Nice. How's that working so far?
I mean, you saw it on the what I was sharing on the screen the other day. It looks fun when you just watch a dumb number of daggers explode all over the place. It's leveling pretty quick. I've actually got to the point now where got a tabby, so that helped on the reroll.
Nice.
It's like the game was like, tell you what, here you go. We know you're not happy with it. And now I'm just running around just using the Blade Blast to clear packs. I don't even have to do the Blade Fall.
Nice.
So I could just keep that with my potion charges, and it's leveling back up fast. I know it's probably going to be a little expensive to gear it as well, but I want to play the nerfed version because I haven't played for the last league or so.
Yeah, that's a build that I want to try. Maybe I'll try it this league as well later on. Just because I've never done Inquisitor and I've never touched Blade Blast, Blade Fall, Blade Blast. Aetrik, how's your build going?
It works. which is new. Yeah, so Exsanguinate Totems is turning out to be pretty baller. Not really any kind of gear requirements for it. Just, I mean, I'm working on higher yellow tier and low red tier maps now, just trying to get my conquerors set up. And I'm still only using a 5-link. Haven't bothered to get a 6-link or anything. I'm still pretty much using the gear that I had by the end of Act 10. I haven't really upgraded much of anything. I think I replaced my belt recently, and I may have replaced my boots recently. But other than that, I'm pretty much still rocking my campaign gear. It does a lot of damage really quickly. I'm self-casting Reap just to get some extra dot damage going on bosses if I feel like I need to. Cause
Now
it looks
you didn't go with the you cannot deal damage node,
No,
right?
I did not go Ancestral Bond. I decided one extra totem and not being able to deal any damage outside of totems wasn't really worth it right now. But I've still got a lot of playing around and testing to do with this. This thing's probably going to have 4 or 5 different versions by the time I'm done. But the damage over time on Reap just seems insane. My damage over time on Exsanguinate deals almost 13,000 physical damage a second. It gets the 3 stacks, which increases its damage as it goes up in stacks. But the thing is, Reap, its damage over time is basically twice that.
Now you're going by sheet damage, you're not going by
Yeah,
path of
I'm
building.
just going by the tooltip right there in the game. So the tooltip damage that it shows for Reap is like 25,000 for mine. Which
And you're already into low red maps.
Yeah, I'm already able to do low red maps. The part of the Atlas I'm doing right now, I'm actually following like Grimrow's guide to trying to get conquerors.
Nice.
I am doing the Lex Proxima part right now with 2 watchstones in it, but I've already got 3 watchstones in Terran's End, which is going to be the next area that I go to, which is going to be where I focus on red map farming. And I've already done a couple of red maps just to test them. So I am able to do tier 11s right now. I haven't moved above tier 11 yet, though. But yeah, I mean, it's been pretty fun. It's interesting. I basically just drop a couple totems, keep walking, drop a couple totems, keep walking. If I get into a big pack of things and moving becomes an issue, I self-cast Reap, and it almost instantly kills everything with the damage over time. Then keep moving. So it's if I have rares that seem to have a lot of HP, I am casting Vulnerability to increase the physical damage they take.
Yeah.
And that's working out real well. As far as like auras, I haven't really bothered much with that. I have Herald of Purity, and I'm running Flesh and Stone right now. That's basically it. I can probably do better working with auras. I'm considering maybe trying to put Malevolence in here somehow just to speed up the dot damage a little bit more.
Yeah, that'll definitely increase some deeps for you, I think.
And if I get a 6-link, I'd like it to have a green socket so that I can put chaining in here or whatever for the Exsanguinate, because I know it can chain.
It can. I've heard that it's going to a couple people that I've seen, it says it kind of drops the DPS substantially, though.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll drop the DPS. It'll be something to test with it. But
You'll
effects
probably
which
just have
allow
to.
skills to chain can apply to the tendrils. So we'll have to see what it does. But like right now, it's just like I'm not really buffing the spell that much. It's linked to spell support, or spell totem support, which reduces its damage, and its cast speed. It's linked to multiple totem support, which also reduces its damage. Then it's linked to efficacy, which is increasing its damage, and damage over time. And I've also got it linked to cruelty, which increases its damage. So honestly, like right now, it's probably doing about the damage. Like each totem's probably doing the base damage of the skill almost.
Instead of efficacy, have you tried deadly ailments instead? I think that's a bigger damage bonus for damage over time.
I don't think that'll work. Is that a green one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one is just for poison. I'll have to check.
No, it's not. It's not. I use it for my fire. It's damage over time. I'm pretty sure it's a much bigger multiplier for damage over time. Might be something you want to look into.
Supported skills deal 45% more damage over time and 10% less damage with hits. So it does do 40% more damage over time.
Yep.
But I don't think that's going to be much more than efficacy, because efficacy for this also boosts spell damage, and spell damage also increases the damage over time for this. So it has 19% spell damage, 23% more damage over time, and then the 16% increased skill effect duration.
Yeah, maybe.
They'll be about the same.
With 6-link, maybe both of those. Are you running greater multiple projectiles too, or no?
No, because they're not projectiles.
Right. Oh, all right. All right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the tendrils are not projectiles, so I'm not running greater multiple projectiles. But it's working so far. I've got a lot of experimenting to do with it. The new blood skills seem ridiculously OP.
They do.
For now,
I've seen a few.
I see nerf incoming after this league.
Quite
I think
possibly.
they're going to be toned down.
But it's good.
Balance.
It's good to see the new skills actually mean something this time around, because they haven't. The last few leagues, the new skills have turned out to be duds during the league opening. So you know what? It's good to see that these are pretty beefy type of skills, and hopefully that trend continues. So that I don't want them to be overtuned when they're brought into the league, but they should actually be something that maybe you can run. It should be usable.
Yeah, these skills are strong enough that they were noticed out the gate by pretty much everybody. Like when Heist went live, or when Heist League started, you and I both played Blazing Salvo builds, Wolf.
Yep.
And they were great, but not a lot of people started with those. It was kind of a sleeper until closer to the end of the league. And after that, people really started picking up on, okay, Blazing Salvo's good. This one, like out the gate, just the damage numbers on them were stupid enough that everyone's like, yeah, these are going to be okay.
Honestly, I really liked Blazing Salvo. I revisited it a little bit when I was practicing for this league start, but wasn't really what I was looking for. So I decided to go with the Burning Arrow, which, checking out those starter guides, seeing what's what, multiple people talking about how Burning Arrow was going to be a great starter. And I'm sure this happened with a lot of builds out there. Ladies and gentlemen, just be careful and realize that most of the time these starter builds are a good 10 to 20 exalts to get going. Thankfully, a couple of the videos that I saw on Burning Arrow made me really think that Burning Arrow was a great starter build. Thankfully, some YouTubers like Big Ducks, he broke it down that, it doesn't start as Burning Arrow. It starts as Armageddon Brand, and you have to build up. And unfortunately, with the changes to Breach this league, with the blessings being able to upgrade the Breach Stones and all of that type of stuff, combined with Burning Arrow is a great starter build, increase the initial cost of Zoph's Nurture bow right out the bat. So it was like 3.5x. So I think it got up to during the beginning. Finally, I was able to afford it. Thankfully, I am somebody who can make currency somewhat quick. I'm not making mirrors in a league, but I can get myself going. I've already got my Zoph's Nurture. I've already got a replica Amber Wake. I've already got one of my primordial jewels, and hopefully I can get the other ones going so that I can finish setting up the Burning Arrow build, because right now it's kind of lackluster until you start getting the gear. And I think that's something that a lot of creators really need to do when it comes to pumping up how awesome a build is. It is awesome for a starter build for those of us who know what we're doing. But as far as putting out starter builds, I think that's a horrible it is a starter build, but it's not for beginners. So
Yeah, it's a
it's
starter
not
build for like the
beginner
top 4
friendly.
or 5% of the POE community.
Right. I mean, it's not a very beginner friendly type of build. You can't go into, if you tried to level through the axe with Burning Arrow, you're going to want to not play anymore. And I think that's something that people need to be careful with when they're pumping out their starter build. That's something that should be said right off the bat.
I do have to give credit on that one because I'm playing Big Duck's build or his path, and he has it set up where you will level with this, and then after you get to this level, you can now swap over to this skill. Has several different spots of the gear, but he straight up says on there is like, what you see me in the video is in-game gear, definitely not what you're going to be seeing, and breaks it down. But not all of the ones you see will actually break it down for you and do that. So just be very mindful. Try to find a good one because a lot of the better ones will give you the how to put your points in there as you step up. Cheap gear, and then super expensive gear, and what I'm actually using gear. Like they'll give you multiple options there, helps you break it down really well.
Yeah, I think the biggest tool out there available for new players is Path of Building. Because when you're watching these videos, you want to make sure that if it's a starter guide and you're a newer player, you want to be looking at whether or not it breaks down the leveling process. Sometimes you'll have to spend regret points and be able to reorganize your build later on. And you want to make sure that it breaks it down for you if you fully don't aren't comfortable with the passive tree yourself and with gearing yourself as you go along. You want to see the step-by-step process. At least, he breaks it down like insanely well. Big Ducks is one of those guys. Zizaran does really well as well when he's doing his starter guides. He breaks it down where you can just set it up. Okay, what am I doing from 1 through 24? What am I doing from 25 to 50? You know what I mean? And they do really good, some of them, but other ones are like, yeah, this is going to be a great starter, so this is what you need. You ain't getting that. You are not getting that.
And the reality for them is that starter is like a day or two.
And I think that's
in that gear, and they're already into their, making and crafting some of their stuff with the advanced techniques that a lot of us don't don't use.
I think that's something that I think that's the biggest thing that keeps people out of Path of Exile and enjoying the game. The game is amazing, but I think that it's overwhelming passive tree, and a lot of times people are looking at build guides and they're just looking at the fact that this is great. I want to run this build. You need to think about that because the dude running this build that just killed, Shaper Guardian in 1.5 seconds, he's wearing a mirror and a half to 3 mirrors worth of gear. You know what I mean? That's something that the majority of the player base is not going to see in a league. I play a lot. I've had 2 mirrors in my possession throughout, one that we had found, and I think one. Did we find 2 at 2 different times? But it was group effort, etc. I've had a mirror worth of gear, but it's gear that I've either crafted or, been able to save up and buy, primarily due to last season's whole Valdo's Rest with the Harbingers and being able to farm up currency extremely fast. I was farming currency at the rate of, 70 exalts every 2 days.
Which,
So
despite the nerf, it's still not bad.
it's not bad. It's not bad. It's definitely not to the level that it was, because now you only have a 30% chance, and it's a little different. It's a longer fight, so it's going to slow down that currency gain. And you still don't get as much as you used to, even if it is the bigger dude. But it's not bad. I mean, it's good for early on currency making. I think I need to do like a video on like starter currency farming and some good tips for that type of stuff. I usually don't have a problem making currency, but I can look at an item and in 2 seconds know if I want to check the price. But I've been playing for 4 years, 5 years, so I know usually what goes well, what goes fast, and it's sometimes I miss things because things change with the economy. So sometimes I could disregard something that probably would have sold, but I know the basics of being able to say, oh, this shield is worth around 50 chaos. Let me double check the price. Up there it is, 40 chaos. So I overestimated, but you know what? I was right. I should have price checked the shield, and I can sell it for 35 to 40 chaos and be on my way. So because I've already made 5x this league without doing a lot of stuff, and I never had an exalt drop. Actually, I've made it's 105 chaos to an exalt. So I've made six exalts because I have a bow that I paid 3x for. I have a ring that I paid 3x for, and I have 120 something chaos. So I've been able to get myself going. But for those people that can't do that, or newer players that are still struggling with tier 1, tier 2 maps because they're following a starter build that didn't get them going, I think it's a lot harder. Plus, the more you play the game, the more you learn. That's with everything. You learn things as you go. I'm still learning stuff about this game, and I've been playing for 5 years.
Yeah, and I think like this season, one way that a lot of maybe newer players could possibly make some currency to put their builds together is once they get the maps, if they set things up to try and get as many like blight maps as they can, or oils from blight, I think those are going to be worth a decent chunk of money this round
Yeah,
because
blighted maps are
of
going
the
to
whole
be
the
worth a lot.
talisman change.
Wait, the talisman change?
or the anoint stuff.
The corrupted
Yeah,
anoint thing.
yeah,
Not
the
only
corrupted
that,
anoint.
but just blighted maps in general are much better this time around because you can increase the quantity in the chests by alching your maps and stuff
Oh
like
yeah, I
that.
forgot about
So,
that.
yeah, that's big. That's why blighted maps are selling for, between 15 and 50 chaos.
Yeah, and for some people like me, I usually don't bother with blight that much because I'm always screwing around with some stupid little build that nobody is ever really going to play. So me having to worry about like getting to the point that I've anointed it with the perfect notable or whatever, it's like, yeah, whatever. I'm not into that. So I can set up my map to where, and I've actually done this. My atlas is set up in, I think it's at Lex Proxima or Lyra Arthane, one of the two. Uh, Lex Proxima, where I've done 2 Maven fights just to increase my breach. I've taken gatekeepers and within their grasp so that I'm able to get more breach stuff because of the Zoff's thing. And then in Lyra Arthane, I've done 2 to increase my blight modifiers and chance to find blight maps. Because breach, because of like you said with the Zoff's, you've got Zoff's, that bow from the Zoff breach, and you've got is that
Chest
Zoff's
piece.
blood. Yeah, so there's things in that breach that people are after. So the actual, just the splinters are going for, weren't they going for like a chaos or something
They were.
yesterday?
They've dropped now to about one chaos gets you two, but that's still
Yeah, it's
a
still not
pretty.
bad.
That means that there are currently 3 splinters that are sellable. You've got Onito and Zoff going for zero point 0.5 of a chaos per splinter, and then you've got Cheula's going for 1 chaos per splinter. So farming breach right now, very good for currency farming.
Yeah,
The thing is, early in the league, there are a lot of ways to make currency, and you just have to try to focus on 1 or 2 of those at a time. You can't be all over the place because you're not going to want to sell 11 breach splinters. You know what I mean? But if you're farming breach nonstop, you're going to want to sell 80 breach splinters for 40 chaos or 50 chaos. You know what I mean? Or if it's Jayola's 40, uh, 80 breach splinters for 80 chaos. And the same can be said about blight. If you're farming blight nonstop, you can sell those blighted maps. Those blighted maps are going for crazy currency right now. Fossils and um, resonators, those are things that you can sell. They're cheap, but if you're doing a lot of that repetitively, you can farm up a decent amount to sell it. Even though it's cheap, it's still going to net you, some chaos. So it's all about finding those ways that you want to increase your own currency. But if
Also, don't
you're
forget the old chaos recipe.
and chaos recipe, yeah, I mean that's definitely this is the first league in like 4 leagues that I did not do the chaos recipe at all, which is odd because this is also the first time in like 4 leagues that I've been this far ahead with currency. So maybe it was more time spent mapping for me than normal. I think I've pumped out a lot more play time actually in the game. I think that's the number one thing that I struggle with and I'm starting to get better at. Being a map. That's how you make currency. You don't make currency sitting in your hideout looking at your gear and, tabbing out to look at Path of Exile trade for something that you want that you can't afford yet. Your best way to make currency is to be somewhere with your character killing stuff. You're not going to make any currency in your hideout. You're not going to make any currency, just messing around. You want to be focused on improving your build, and the best way to do that is just go. as fast as you can. Whatever you can do really fast, that's what you should be doing. If it's tier 1 maps and just running in and doing the ultimatums and getting out, if that's what you do the fastest, that's what you should be doing. You know what I mean? Or
Also, the delve is a really good choice this round with the changes in the delve. So it's a good choice to run delve. Not to mention, aside from the fact that drops are better earlier in the delve, like Wolf said, those resonators, you can sell those. And once you get to a point that you don't really feel like you need to upgrade, use any more Azerite for upgrades, you can just go to Nico and start dumping Azerite, purchasing resonators. It's 2,500 Azerite for one of the powerful
no.
alchemical resonators.
You don't even do those ones. You only do the little ones, because I think the little ones are 300.
200.
Oh,
for the
300 sulfite for the little chaotic
primitive
ones.
Chaotic is 300.
Yeah,
primitive alchemical.
Those are the ones
200.
you do, because those ones you can turn around and buy a bunch, and they're half a chaos a piece. A little bit more than half a chaos a piece. So they're like 0.6 of a chaos for one of those. But there's only one chaos for the other one. So you're getting 3 chaos for the little ones in the same amount of sulfite that you're spending to get a big one.
Yeah, and as you get deeper in the delve, like you start getting a ton of sulfite for each one of those. So yeah, that is a great way to try and make money, especially early on, because the people who are getting towards the top are starting to fossil craft to try and get min-max their gear now. So they're fossil crafting, then doing everything else they can to get the stats they need. So it's a good way for people who aren't at the top of like the leaderboards and who goes fast and everything and who can get to end game fastest. Just drop yourself in delve, get some sulfite or get some azurite, buy some of those resonators and sell them. Because those other guys, they have the currency at this point that you don't have, and it's an easy way to make some money off of them.
Yep, and I think that people get wrapped up in this, newer players out there get wrapped up in, well, he's making 4 exalts an hour and I can't do that. And I've tried and I'm following everything. He's got a multi-exalt build. If you're a newer player, doing the smaller stuff and making less currency, I mean, you can gear yourself slowly. Even if you're making an X an hour, maybe you can upgrade your build a little bit here and there. So, like, that type of stuff can be beneficial. Delve, fossils, resonators, blight maps.
Even your beast, like if you get the right beast and you capture them, you can trade those beasts.
Yep.
So
most players nowadays know that, but newer players don't. You're absolutely right. I think that we should definitely work out a whole currency for new players type of video that we should do.
Yeah, it's sort of a how to make money when you're not at the top. Because if you watch a lot of the how guides on how those guys make so many exalts per hour and stuff, it is extremely unrealistic things that most normal players are not going to be doing.
It's not that they can't; it's that they're not used to it.
And they don't get there early enough for it to matter. Because by the time you get the things that a lot of these guys are talking about, well, the price has dropped because the market's been flooded and the demand's gone down. So, yeah, these kind of things that they're a little more stable, I think, and it's something that you can start doing early on, no matter really who you are. So yeah, I think something like that would be really helpful for people, Wolf. So there you go. There's your next YouTube video.
Thanks. I will definitely get working on it.
I would give you some clips for it and everything, but for some reason, Visual Studio
you can't figure out how to do it.
Well, no, it's crashing my computer when I try to render the videos.
The latest
CPU.
Well, that might be it's Corel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something with them. I use Video Studio 19 for a lot of my editing, and that works good for me. But I switched to 20. I upgraded to 20. I had to uninstall it because every time I hit the button like you did to render the video, everything would close.
Yeah.
I had to uninstall it and go back to 2019, and I'll never upgrade it again. The next time I do, I'll just buy a different video editing software because, yeah, it just crashed immediately. I tried fixing it, and then I read up on it, and whatever. I'm not even going through that. I'll take the loss of when I upgraded it last year. But yeah, we'll definitely look into doing a currency for beginners type of video on the next POE basics. And we'll do something on the starter builds as well, because I think that that's something that goes under the radar. If you're looking for a starter build out there, definitely look for those
Totems or
YouTubers.
something with minions.
Well, no, just look for those YouTubers out there who were explaining it entirely.
Yeah.
It's why I try to steer clear from starter builds. But I did a starter build once on my Soul Rest Phantasms. I didn't break it down like I should have, but I got told I can't put that as a starter build because it uses Soul Rest, which costs an X. I'm like, but my
But it's
starter
only
build
an
is going to cost
X.
me 30x. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
20x.
Well, did this
The
still
one that I'm
stay at
running.
1x?
No, it drops down in
So,
value.
I mean, if they could use another alternative, like a leveling part of it to maps.
Yeah, and currently, like, my starter build has cost absolutely nothing because I haven't bought anything for it.
Nice. Pretty awesome.
It cost hours of gameplay.
It did. It cost hours of sitting there reading, like, Reddit troll comments and everything else that was all kinds of fun.
It was
So you're
fun.
saying it has entertainment value now?
It does. It has a lot of. This has more entertainment value than most of my others. I mean, it's on par with the cats build that I had.
Nice.
That the last totem build I did that had the spectral cats flying all over the screen.
I should have bought that MTX.
You should have. It's amazing.
But
Just for the fun.
anybody have anything else to add as we wrap this video up? Crickets? Really?
No, all I would say really just about PoE and any kind of game in general, don't take it too damn serious. Like don't get bent out of shape on things. Like the game can only upset you as much as you'll really allow it to. Like if
Very
you
true.
really start getting frustrated about it, just do something else for a little while. Don't let it aggravate you. Enjoy it. It's a game,
Remember rule
especially
number
if it's
one.
free to play stuff.
Rule number one, if you're not having fun, it's not a game anymore. Go take a break.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So like and PoE, like it can frustrate people that are new to it, that really want to figure it out, especially if they love the ARPG genre, because it is definitely something that it's got a steep learning curve. It
It
is one of the
does. It does.
few games that I recommend if someone wants to start it. Find a starter build that someone else has, like you said, that separates it by like passive points and walks you through it. Don't try to start yourself until you've figured out kind of why those builds work over a few leagues or so. Then start testing the waters.
Yep.
And if you do try something new yourself, like don't expect it to be something that's clearing all content, killing Shaper, Elder, and God knows what in a second. Just give yourself like your first build, just like, okay, if I make it to maps, cool. Maybe the next build you put together, I want to make it to yellow maps, then to red maps. Just gradually try to get better at building.
Yep.
And that could be like your second character a league. Maybe take your first character each league off of a build guide, and then the next one come up with your own idea and just try to gradually get better at it over time. But yeah, don't let it frustrate you. Just play the game and remember it is a game. I mean, I guess unless you're a
Yeah.
streamer making a living off of it, and then it could, affect something. But most of us aren't.
I would say on that one for sure. I just watched a video. I think Ziz put it out recently on speed running through it, where you have your starter build that you're just to do like low to mid maps to gear yourself and get money.
Yep.
Because the league mechanics are dumb for money. So anything that can just do the league mechanics right now, as we covered with so many of the splinters and the currency that pops out of the one and everything else, just doing them, experience them if you're new, just so you know what you're doing and know what you might want to do for them. Hey, I don't like this one, it's not fast enough. Hey, I'd rather go life. Whatever, you watch a video, you see, you just like the way it looks. Maybe you just want a specific MTX for a skill. Whatever.
Yeah, and try
go
to
look at some of those and see a quicker way to go, and be ready to maybe rerun one back. And that time, honestly, I'm rerunning this one after watching that, and yeah, it's 4 hours, 5 hours if you're like a tabby and a couple other items, like so that you can just rickroll the material.
The more you play the game, the faster you're going to get at it, and the more you're going to learn. Like, and this goes even for simpler games such as, like Diablo 3, etc. It's a much simpler game than Path of Exile, but there still is, it's the more you do it, the faster you get. My 13-year-old son is always amazed that I'm level 70 in Diablo 3 on opening night when it takes him 2 months. You know what I mean? But he doesn't play it often.
I was gonna say, I feel like that's an attention.
He's probably only made like 2 or 3 characters, and he plays it in between and stuff like that. But he doesn't know that there are faster ways of doing it. Just play the damn game. You can look up a video every now and then. There are tons of great content creators out there that'll help beginners. And I think that, yeah, as Aetrik said, if you're a beginner out there, definitely stick with it, but don't get frustrated. And if it frustrates you, maybe you should just take a break. But if any game is frustrating you to the point where you're getting wicked stressed out and, throwing Twitter tirades and complaining on Reddit that everything sucks, maybe you should take a step back from gaming altogether. Because if something's going to affect you that much when it comes to video games, unless, you are a professional who has, thousands of dollars on the line for doing something, it's not really a need to get upset over it. It is a video game, and it's meant to be fun. And if your build's having fun, who cares if you're stuck in T1 maps for the remainder of the league? If you're having fun with it, that's kind of what matters the most. That's all I have to say about it. Just have fun. It's a game. You learn as you go. The more you play it, the more you learn it. The tons of stuff that there is to learn with this game. And yeah, that's it for me.
It also helps, like, with a new league to pay close attention to what the league mechanic is saying it does. Because after talking to you, like some of the guys here in Discord today, I found out I should have been doing Ultimatum all along, because there's one of them that has no effect on me whatsoever. Yeah, one of the choices for Ultimatum that seems stupid for anybody to take is the one where you take 1000% of the mana you use casting spells as lightning damage. I've been avoiding it every time. Well, it occurred to me after talking to you guys today, like, wait, all my spells cost life, not mana. I'd take no damage from it whatsoever. So I've skipped on a lot of opportunities there just
Yep.
because I was not paying attention.
Yeah, Duck put a video out today. I was actually watching at and he covered a lot of the mechanics, and he was like, "Hey, there's 2 or 3 of them that you take every single time, all the time, stack it to 3, because literally run around in a circle, and the mechanic can't catch you."
Yeah, like the choking
Yeah,
cloud.
the
Yeah.
miasma one. Yeah, he's
Yep.
like, every time take it. Like, it's as long as your character has any movement, and I will give you that hint if you are new, get movement. This game does not work without some kind of movement. You just run around the stuff that clumps up. You look back, you throw mines, totems, whatever your build is, and let it die slowly. Or best yet, get the one that survive and just run around in a circle for 5 or 6 waves and watch whatever loot comes in.
Yep. All right, though. That is it for this episode of the AARPG podcast. I want to say thank you to Taekyn and Aetrik and everybody hanging out with us today, and those of you watching on YouTube. Thank you so very much for taking the time out of your day to watch this. We greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you're having fun in Ultimatum in the brand new Path of Exile League. And definitely let us know in that comment section down below your thoughts on launch night and the league so far. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, you all have a fantastic night. Peace.
Later.